All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
I like dreaming, 'cause dreaming can make you mine. I like dreaming, closing my eyes and feeling fine. When the lights go down, I'm holding you so tight. Got you in my arms and it's paradise till the morning light. I see us on the shore beneath the bright sunshine. We walked along singing.
And welcome back to Hour 2 of tonight's show, X-Zone Nation. I'm Rob McConnell. This is the X-Zone, a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. It's also a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. And as you know, we're here Monday through Friday from 10 p.m. until midnight on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, Talkstar Radio Network, Mutual Broadcast Network, and on your hometown radio, Classic 1220 CFAJ AM, streaming us at classic1220.ca. Our guest tonight is Craig Sim Webb, a world-renowned dream researcher, speaker, and author based in Montreal, Quebec. With over 3 decades of experience exploring the frontiers of consciousness, Craig has helped thousands discover the transformative power of their dreams. He's the executive director of the non-profit Dreams Foundation and the author of The Dreams Behind the Music. As always, Craig, great having you here with us tonight in the X-Zone. How are you, my friend?
Great to join you again, Rob. Doing well and loving the summer arrives here.
That's great. Craig, for the many listeners who have not heard you on the show before because of all the new affiliates we've had joining us, let's start at the beginning. What sparked your lifelong fascination with dreams and consciousness?
Sure. And by the way, big congrats on all the new affiliates and the expansion of the show, too.
Oh, thanks very much, my friend.
That the message is getting out to many more folks.
Well, that's because we have guests like you on.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll try to digest that one. I guess maybe that was one of the little sparks that was in my powerful near drowning. Actually, I got stuck under a whitewater raft at the start of my journey. You know, I was studying physics, so I kind of was, at the time, I say I was a scientist or I was a physicist, and now I can say one of me is a physicist. But I didn't really know I was stuck in thinking and, I guess, an analytical mind and objective kind of experiments. And then after this near drowning, I started remembering up to 10 dreams a day, even having lucid dreams, premonitions, and it was way outside my physics training, but at least I was open. I started noting the data, I guess recording the dreams. Started seeing patterns, started researching more, ended up at the Stanford research, lucid dream pioneering research at Stanford in California. One thing led to another, and over the years here, I've been able to integrate what I call kind of first-person subjective science, all these crazy experiences that we have called dreams, nightmares, etc., and then the more empirical science to sort of check out statistics, physiology, and see what's happening, and try to bring the two together, and that's been my journey, really.
Well, what is the central mission behind your work at craigwebb.ca and the Dreams Foundation?
I guess empowerment, inspiration, bringing some of the amazing research and personal insights, some of the community-based research statistics that we've learned and discovered out to more people. For example, at Stanford, we proved scientifically, with the sleep lab electrodes and the whole thing, that people can be conscious while they're dreaming. And now it's known as lucid dreaming. But at the time, it was kind of a shock. Wait a minute, you can't be awake while asleep. That's an oxymoron. And so those kind of insights more and more come out to the public, and then they become, mainstream knowledge, perhaps. And a little more lately, I think we've talked about a number of these things, but I've been bringing forth more what's applied dreaming. In other words, practical uses and benefits of, resolving our nightmares, maybe getting creative inspirations, healing ourselves with subconscious insights dreams. Any interesting dreams from your side lately, the last few months?
No, nothing. It's been rather strange because of all the geopolitical unrest and how President Trump and all his rhetoric against Canada and our prime minister, and it's been rather unsettling. And I thought that I would have more dreams, but by the time I get home and I get to bed, Craig, I'm just wiped, and I just go to sleep. I go to sleep at 2:00, and I'm back here at the studio at 7:00 in the morning. So
okay. Well, I'm sure our listeners appreciate that.
Well,
you're being devoted host,
Well, being a devoted host is just part of what I do here. We've got our publishing arm, we have our TV studios and our production time, and it just seems that there's never any time for me. And I believe when I have that in my mind, I don't dream. I mean, I do dream, but I don't remember the dream because I'm so darn tired.
Yeah. Well, you're putting most of your focus into, I guess, productivity. You could say you're really bringing your dream true, and we use that phrase. But, I mean, you're acting on the creative wishes of your subconscious that become your hopes for your life.
Right.
And that's kind of what applied dreaming is. You might not remember where the source of the inspiration or the dream for your life came from, but you're acting on it and bringing it true, and that's kind of the goal.
Yeah, I remember one of the shows you were on with us years ago, and you brought the point out that if people have issues during the day, they're presented with a problem, and that little saying, "Let me sleep on it," and then during the night you actually, in most cases, like in my case, whenever I have a problem and I go to sleep, I'm actually able to work the issue out during my dream state.
Yeah, or let's say even different states. Not all of those insights necessarily come in the visual kind of REM dream.
Mm-hmm.
Some come in the deeper states, or even just as we're waking. In fact, I have a little tip for listeners, and you can try this with full schedule, because me too, pretty full schedule. First off, just think of it as an incredible value-oriented place. Intuition, we call it during the day, but really at night, dreams is the same thing. So if we want to get the intuitive insights, it can sometimes save us lots of schedule time, a ruined deal or a bad health problem or a wrecked relationship or something. We can save ourselves lots of productivity by catching it earlier with dreams. But let's say we just devote maybe a Saturday or a Sunday morning to it. That's usually enough place for sort of boosting our intuition. And you'll see the important dreams come that day or the night before. And then there's a little kind of tip listeners might just know it. It sounds too simple, but it's actually really, really valuable. And I use a word a little differently here. I say record, notice, and then try to find a simple way, to act on your first waking, and the word is thought. But I put thought kind of in, sort of quotes there,
Sure.
Because it's a little bit different frequency of the brainwave. It's the first waking thought, so it could be kind of a body sensation or more of a feeling or even music. But that first thought is pretty much close to like the meeting summary of all your wishes, intentions, and maybe your incubations for the overnight. In other words, that's what your dreams are answering when you say, I'll sleep on it. First waking thought can really, really bring the practical stuff.
You've taught lucid dreaming to thousands. What was the first step for someone who wants to become a lucid dreamer?
Well, often people are actually naturally lucid. Probably you've experienced this. I'm sure many of the listeners. And people don't realize it, so kind of just naming and accepting and realizing it's not that hard. When we've had a nightmare and we've kind of been freaked out at the end and we've woken ourselves up like, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Ever done that? So that's officially lucid. Some part of you realized it was a dream and took an action. You left the dreamscape. Maybe not the best action overall, because if you're totally in a dream and your body's safe in bed, why run away? But at least it's sort of sparking the bridge between waking and dreaming minds, and that's what lucidity is. And when it happens in a dream full-blown, then we realize it's a dream. And usually the first step for most people is recall, because it's kind of like getting the doorway open. If you remember dreams, at least you got the data flowing from the deeper side into our waking mind. And then before sleep, you can have an intention, like a self-suggestion, or you can watch a video, read a little bit about it, or even listen to an amazing show like X Zone and guests like Craig Webb, who say before sleep, just clear your mind and have a clear intention. Wow, during my dream tonight, I'm going to realize I'm dreaming while dreaming. It's a little bit different than just waking up after the dream. During the dream, you go, holy cow, I could fly or something, and your body's still asleep in bed. And that simple intention with a clear mind and probably a little bit of interest, curiosity can really work wonders.
Fascinating. Why do you believe dreams are such an untapped resource for personal growth and insight, Craig?
Well, in our culture, yes. And I kind of have to put that in perspective, because a lot of the indigenous cultures that I've learned from actually include dreams, and acting on dreams and discussing dreams is a pretty natural part of the morning and the day. So in our culture, let's say Western, more industrialized, we've kind of forgotten the link. We could go into lots of reasons why, but let's say we've forgotten a little bit of the value. And it's coming back, I think. It's coming more and more with some of the creative insights and some of the work that myself, colleagues, and others have been doing, I guess, starting with Sigmund Freud and Carl Jung and some of the big Western sort of mentors who sort of brought dreams back. We've been getting insights on how they could be valuable, but it can be very practical, like daily. A mother dreaming something helpful for her children, or a doctor dreaming how to do an operation better, or the CEO, or I guess at the time a student at Stanford who dreamt of this cool new way to make a search engine way better, way stronger, and probably get a lot more traffic. And that person was Larry Page, who invented Google. So you can see that they can be pretty practical. $3 trillion later, that's not a bad dream.
Not bad at all. What does science currently say about the function or purpose of dreams, Craig?
It says a lot of things, I guess. Function can sometimes be physiological rebalancing. Just some of the research shows that even if you just interrupt REM sleep, kind of the more visual dreams that we recall and record, then you can really disturb somebody's waking mind, and after too much just interrupting REM sleep, they can start to go a bit crazy. So it's a natural function that probably rebalances on some level, at least emotionally. That's pretty obvious. Another huge one that's been tracked quite a bit, there's been some fascinating studies on percentage increase in skill levels, so learning new skills. Kind of like when we're children, we actually learn to walk and talk in dreams, and probably social skills, maybe as a teenager. And later on, we learn job skills or whatever we're after. So a training grounds of learning. Lots of other. Nightmares can be very beneficial or detrimental, depending how we handle them.
All right, Craig, I'm going to have to ask you to hold on here. I have to take a break. Exonation, Craig Webb, a good friend of the X Zone, is our guest this hour. His website, craigwebb.ca. And Craig and I will be back on the other side of this break as we continue here in the X Zone on the Talkstar Radio Network, Mutual Broadcast Network, X Zone Broadcast Network, and your hometown radio, Classic 1220 CFAJ AM here in St. Catharines, streaming us at classic1220.ca. I'm Rob McConnell. Craig Webb and I return. Don't go away.
I like dreaming, 'cause dreaming can make you mine. I like dreaming, closing my eyes and feeling fine. Just close my eyes again. Climbed aboard the Dreamweaver train. Trying to take away my worries of today and leave tomorrow
Speaking about dreams, our guest this hour is Craig Webb, and he's a dreamologist. Hey, I just made that up. Craig's website is
I like
Craig.
that.
You can use it. CraigWebb.ca. Craig, what happens if people don't dream?
Yeah, we just started on that before the break.
Yeah.
Well, first off, they can start to sort of not sleep so well. But when we selectively interrupt just the REM sleep, as we sometimes have tried in the laboratory for research, after a little while you'll start getting waking hallucinations. In other words, there's some kind of pressure release that's not happening at night when it normally should. And in the lab, it's kind of controlled, so we keep the people safe. But after a while, they'll start sort of dreaming during the day, but kind of losing touch with normal waking perception reality. Let's say a new kind of augmented reality that's not intentional. So not so good, not so helpful.
Would that be classified as sleep deprivation?
Yeah, sleep deprivation is usually the whole sleep cycle. In other words, I guess for torture or whatever it's done where people get deprived,
Yeah.
they interrupt the whole sleep, or maybe they turn lights on and off randomly. But when it's just selective for the actual dreaming, it's of the visual dreaming, then it ends up being the visual hallucinations during the waking. And I don't know if research has been done just for other sleep deeper states, like deep sleep only, or, kind of stage 2 sleep being deprived, but probably there's similar results. Whatever's missing from a natural physiological cycle is going to kind of start to push through in waking hours, I imagine.
Yeah, I know when they were doing MK Ultra up at McGill University, the CIA that is, that sleep deprivation was one of the methods that they used on the patients who were there at the Allen Memorial Institute without knowing that they were subjects of a CIA experimentation that the Canadian government had, condoned and blessed. And how I know this and why I've got such a negative feeling about the CIA and MK Ultra was because my mom was one of the patients that underwent the experimentation of the CIA at the Allen Memorial Institute. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Okay, wow.
That
And
was-
did she have lasting effects from it?
Yes,
did she tell
definitely.
that?
Yes, she did. Yes, she did. God bless her. We lost her 4 years ago. I remember as a kid, we lived in Park Extension. You know where that is, Craig?
Yeah.
Ogilvy Avenue. We lived on Wiseman and Danvers, downstairs, facing St. Clair Laird School. My mom would be brought home with a nurse. The nurse would stay with her and myself and my younger brother for 3-4 hours until my mother was back to quote-unquote normal. And then she would leave, and I'll never forget the name of the nurse. It was Mrs. Sangster. And
Oh, wow.
there was one time,
Maybe she's listening.
I doubt it, Mrs. Sangster,
She's pretty old now.
pretty old now, yeah. There was a time when, because of the experimentation, my mother was found wandering downtown on the streets in Montreal, not knowing where she was, who she was, or anything.
Oh, wow.
People don't realize the horror that was inflicted on Canadian citizens with the full blessing of the Canadian government. That happened right at the Allen Memorial Institute, which is a learning hospital of McGill University, and so I've got a lot of negative thoughts about the entire thing. It's just very upsetting to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really, let's say, there's no scruples in the research. It's
No.
just to get something and whatever cost is fine.
Dr. Ewan Cameron was the president of the Canadian
Okay.
Psychiatric Association and the American. And years after the government, when all this was exposed, Ewan Cameron actually wrote my mother and all the patients that were involved letters of apology. When my dad's reaction was, you ruin a person's life, and all you do is send a letter of apology. You knew what was going on. Why the hell didn't you stop it?
Yeah, but at least he got an admission. I guess it's better than zero.
Oh, yeah, that's true. But I can remember the hell that she went through. And it was like PTSD.
And probably you as kids, because she's like always acting out, probably more emotional than normal.
Yeah. It's just like she had PTSD that followed her for the rest of her life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like once you disturb the cycles, like anything else we learn, it's creating neural pathways that then, they're not forever necessarily, but they're a trend now. So she's probably waking up in the middle of the night, and she might have like Parkinson's or other effects later.
Yeah.
So
anyway, how the hell did we get on that subject?
Her beautiful. So.
Yeah.
I think the general trend is there for researchers, and let's say anybody exploring scientifically. Let's keep scruples and kind of people and the end goal of serving in the mix.
Yeah.
Not just sort of finding out something without caring. Anyways, that's a good one. I got a really cool X-Zone story.
Okay, let's hear it, buddy. Let's hear it.
Because I kind of look for special little ones. There's a film coming out this month here, and I've kind of transitioned, I would say, part of my time into filmmaking, kind of bringing dreams true to the big screen. And Stephen Baldwin, a filmmaker, I guess, over in the UK, was walking in his dream, walking through a street, kind of unknown and sort of a little bit of familiarity, but kind of shaky, and then heard the blood-curdling scream. Woke up a bit shocked and like, whoa, what was that? So he kind of went down, and somehow he saw the street name, I think, and he went down and started researching the specific location in the street and checking the back records and everything. And after a lot of research and some help from some current living people, he found out that a girl was actually murdered right at the exact location that he dreamt of.
Holy cow.
Because he went to the location. I think it's Christian Street or something. I forget the name. But he went and found it, but in 1881, which is an interesting palindrome, but it's a long time ago, 150 years or so.
Mm-hmm.
But kind of looked through the records, through the research, asked around some surviving family members, checked the case, and then found family members even of what might be the perpetrators. Long story short, he seems to, at least he feels that he solved the murder, turned it into a TV series 15 years after the dream. It's coming out next month. And kind of tells a story, and he's hoped that a little bit of justice. But the town itself, West Cumbria, has actually erected a little plaque and statue for the poor girl Lucy Sands, who was murdered, and kind of honored her as, let's say, town heritage. So kind of turned something really unpleasant into something good through a dream.
Craig, is a waking dream like daydreaming?
Probably depends on your definition. What would you say?
Well, I don't know. A lot of kids daydream in school. Is it because they're bored and they go into their own little psychological world that is more interesting than what is being taught to them? Or is this something in the psyche of the person who is having the daydream that could be a portent of something that is going to happen or has happened based on where they are?
Well, that's a good question, and a multi-level one. First level, I would kind of say it's probably important to see what age, because it is quite natural for younger children, especially like really young children under about 7, to sort of have multiple states, and sometimes like the pretty young kids, few years old, can mix up waking and dreaming. So I don't know if we have an exact word for it, but let's just say multiple levels of perception that aren't the same as an adult with their regular physical world model. So that might be in the mix a little bit. Probably the classroom is also hot. Maybe the teacher's boring and your mind starts drifting, so that happens also. What it drifts and what data comes, that can depend an awful lot on the individual. So could there be some portentous or sort of precognitive stuff? Probably. The inner senses could start to get activated, and precognition is one of those. Could it just be random wanderings about what the teacher is talking about or what they drank earlier at lunch or something like that? Could be that also, but definitely they're probably starting to tune in with other senses in the physical. Some people actually have full-blown experiences, like can mix up sort of waking and dreaming. Have you ever heard of déjà vu, but in the sense of déjà visité?
No, I haven't. No. What is that?
So déjà visité, and there's also another one. I'll try to remember it in a second. But déjà visité is I've been to this exact place, and in the experience, you're in the same physical location, but many years before, a little bit like our filmmaker I just spoke about.
Okay.
So 150 years ago, the guy actually was like currently in his dream, of course, in the same place. Like, wow. So there's something cross-time, but a geolocation kind of sense. And then there's another one, the name's escaping right now, but where you can actually kind of cross time in a very interesting way. So déjà vu is a little more common, so you kind of know what the person's going to say, or you've been here before or something. But it can really be full-blown, and I imagine if a kid's maybe a little bit more of a sensitive kid who's a little bit integrated with some of their creative insights and a little bit more open boundaries and things like that, they could surely tune in like that. And maybe get some helpful stuff, like get an idea for the essay that the teacher's babbling about.
Yeah. That's that is something that is quite possible. But how much do we really know about dreaming? Are we just scratching the surface? Are researchers like you and your colleagues, are we getting more into the nitty-gritty of dreams, or are we still at that stage where we're still not sure?
Well, I think there's always going to be some unsure. You could say dreaming is pretty much like experience, which it actually is. It's not necessarily physical reality, but it's real experience. There's emotions that go on, there's perceptions, sometimes even like physical repercussions in bed. You kicked out or you acted out, or some people have marks on their body waking up from like dream activities. That's a little more rare. But you can start to see lots of bleed through from the experiences. So they're real in that sense. And will we ever really know what all experience is meaning or connected with? Probably not.
All right, Craig, we've got to take our break. Craig, please hold on to that thought.
I'll come back after the break.
All right, thanks, buddy. Exonation, Craig Webb is our guest, www.craigwebb.ca. And this hour of the X-Zone, we're talking about dreaming. Dreams. I used to dream a lot. The only difference between a dream and reality in my book is just doing it. We'll be back on the other side. Don't go away.
Just close my eyes again. Climbed aboard the Dreamweaver train. Trying to take away my worries of today.
Craig Webb is our guest, www.craigwebb.ca. Craig, what about people who are driving from point A to point B, and they kind of go into a daydream? They miss all the stops, they miss exits, they miss time. Is that a dream, or is that more like highway hypnosis?
Probably people, like often with these things, people might use different labels or descriptions. First of all, it's not really healthy, so get some sleep before you do the long journey. But in terms of kind of the state, they're probably going to be in less than what we have now, like I'm talking to you in kind of a pretty much beta waking normal state. So they're going to be in an alpha or deeper state, hopefully not too much towards theta or delta. In which case they're like going to almost start snoring at the wheel here. But yeah, memory, different functions of the mind, even different functions of the body are available in the different states. You can track it physiologically while you sleep, but you can even see during waking that your heart rate and even your heart rate variability, the distance between heartbeats, changes depending on what activities you're doing, what thoughts you're thinking. So you're sitting there pretty still driving, the body's not really doing much, and your eyes are pretty focused, probably on like repetitive road lines, maybe at night being worse, so it's kind of dark. Almost guaranteed you're going to have to keep some extra energy not to go into an altered state. Hypnosis, I'm not so sure, but let's say a state that could be like if you were hypnotized.
What has been your most startling discovery doing your dream research?
Personally, startling discovery. That's a good one. Well, I think from my book, you can see that I just love the idea that a lot of the major artists of our time and even of the past, Beethoven, Mozart, nowadays Taylor Swift, Billie Eilish, a lot of the new ones. Even I think a couple of weeks ago, Sammy Hagar. You remember the singer from Van Halen?
Yeah.
He's still going, I guess, still doing music. Eddie Van Halen was passed away, bless his soul. But the singer actually dreamt of Eddie Van Halen. The crossover soul came and was teaching him a guitar lick that they'd done a while before when they performed together. And he wrote a new song. And these kind of dreams of sort of, I guess, deceased coming to help with creative projects or teaching a skill like Jimi Hendrix, who often comes in waking guitarists. In living, like current dreaming guitarists actually get the deceased person coming teaching them guitar. I find that like mind-blowing, amazing. So imagine this, like this could be my new book title, maybe even a film. But I've started on the film direction. For me, I guess during the pandemic, my dad passed away.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Pretty upsetting. It was 6 months, quite a journey. So very tough. I took a trip to Hawaii, where I think we both enjoy a lot, near Kihei.
Yeah.
And I was kind of there, integrating, playing, trying to be in nature, and processing some of the grief. And then the first visit of my dad after he passed came in a dream, and he said, "Let's go catch some big fish." And I'm kind of like, okay. I woke up and I thought, well, I don't have a rod, and I wasn't really planning on deep sea fishing or anything, so I guess I'll just see later. And kind of put it in the inbox. Anyway, later that day, we were taking kind of a day off from activities, and I looked out at the ocean. There was this huge kind of spume of mist when the whales kind of breathe.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, oh, and right at that moment, and this is kind of a little important tip for people, when you remember a dream, it's often connected with a decision around the time of when you remember it. But right at that moment, I remembered the dream with my dad. Let's go catch some big fish. Well, a whale's a big fish. And the insight came, catch them on video. So what I didn't tell is I was just experimenting with my drone. So I guess I had to face a bit of a fear and risk a $500 submarine, underwater drone if the wind changed or something. But I decided to kind of follow my dad's guidance. What the heck? It would make a good story, like telling it on the X-Zone later. And I got this incredible, mind-blowing footage of like whale, a parent and a baby, which is too synchronistic for me and my dad. And then lots of other amazing stuff, and turned it into a film that's now, I think, won 20 awards. And it's been at a number of screenings at big theaters and stuff. I'm not trying to toot my horn, but it just blows me away to answer your question that, like, a deceased person can affect the waking world, can give us amazing gifts, as long as we act on them, like you said just before break. And so that's kind of where my fascination lies. How do we bring these dreams real, and what kind of amazing gifts are in there?
Yeah, that's true. How about your own music? Like, you're a very talented musician, as well as a very talented author. Does your music come to you in your dreams, Craig?
Like, I'd say almost nightly. I'm a little bit of a rare case because in my book, The Dreams Behind the Music, I interviewed and researched about 200, maybe now 250, because I have a whole bunch of news stories. And I saw that there was lots of common themes, but one of the things I noticed was that most of them only had a few, at least the ones that they told, were a few dreams during their life with music. But in my experience, and also in the research I did, which wasn't extensive, but I did sort of some statistical research to see how easy is it for people who've never dreamt music to dream. And it was, for a scientist, it's like shocking levels of success. 7 people out of 7 within the first week.
Wow.
So 100%, and I was like, wow, we got to do a bigger study. And it almost seems like after talking to many people now, there's like something like a mute button. You do the little slider on your phone and you say, turn on the sound.
Yeah.
That if you choose to, if you're just aware that it's possible, you can actually dream sound of music. So maybe listeners will try it tonight.
How can dreams be used as a tool for emotional healing or for trauma recovery? Would you say that this was the basis of your father's dream? He was helping you in your dreams to help you through the traumatic part of your life by losing your dad?
Possibly. I would say for that specific case, many times I think it is that the deceased come and say, "Hey, I'm good. Don't worry. Stop stressing." Or they sort of help clean up unfinished business. I probably have a little different model than some people, so I'm kind of good that I can reach out. In fact, before my dad passed, I said, "Come visit in dreams. You know, I'll keep the channel open. I'll keep my phone handy, my dream phone." And so when he visited, I think he came more for probably, you know, he was always asking me, "Hey, where's your real job? You know, you're working in dreams. You're a musician. You're an author. What about a real job?" And I laugh and I say it with love, but he was always hoping I could really make it in something. But later on, he kind of said, "Well, if he's passionate and he seems to be doing well and sort of helping a lot of people, I guess that's fine." In this case, he came and I didn't really realize it right away. But with the footage I had and with the dream, I thought, well, that's pretty auspicious. When a deceased comes, you know, they're using up some kind of points, or I've kind of seen that there's a very good reason. They don't just come randomly when they're giving guidance. So I caught this video footage. What am I going to do? So I made a film. And now, you know, in the film, I actually say, "Thanks, Dad." But what I think I'm thanking is more than just the footage, maybe a bit of a new career direction. So I think it kind of came to spark even some of my dreams coming true in different creative ways. So it could be a lot of things, but for me, it ended up being some creative fun fulfillment. How about you? Any deceased visits ever or lately?
No, none. And I'm kind of disappointed in that because my mom passed away during COVID. I didn't get to say goodbye. I went down with Laura. I went down with Laura to her memorial where we put her to rest in her urn at our family plot in Chambly, Quebec.
Okay, yeah.
And I thought, and I keep hoping that since her passing, that she'd drop by and say, "Hey, how are you?" or something, but nothing. I very rarely, and I can only think of two or three dreams throughout my life that have included those who have parted.
Okay, wow. First off, I just want to say I think you're offering a lot of empathy. So many tough situations happened during COVID. I'm so sorry that you didn't get to. That's so tough with the isolation and that whole thing. Wow.
Yeah, well, not only.
I can't help but. Go ahead.
I said not only that, but that's when I was in the hospital after falling off the roof. So there was a.
You were?
Yeah. Oh, you didn't know that?
Oh.
Laura wanted Christmas tree lights attached to the gutters, the gutter things that hang over the roof. So I was up there and fell off the roof, shattered my femur, broke my hip, and
during COVID or just towards the end of it?
No, just at the beginning of it. Just at the beginning.
So you were pretty isolated too.
Yeah, I was, and and then having my mom pass away, and it was just a bad time. I know that everyone during COVID suffered, and but it was like, oh, come on.
Well, I can't help but connect a little bit with something you said before, because I'm kind of hearing a wish or a bit of a longing, which is very natural and normal, by the way, to maybe have a reconnect with your mom there, or whoever else wants to come through, but with your mom. Before you said you really haven't been remembering much dreams, just, I guess, schedule-wise. So that's kind of the prerequisite. You kind of have to have that door open. So you don't necessarily have to change much, but maybe a day a week where you kind of devote a little bit more to the inner inflow, and she's probably waiting. I'm sure if I was a mom who didn't get to say goodbye, I'd come and say goodbye.
Yeah. like every night when I get home, I sit and I get myself a coffee, and I sit in the living room. All the lights are off, and from our home, we overlook Lake Ontario, and I just sit there and just wait for the time.
But do you ever sense something more like presence, or even
No.
just feelings, or the lights flicker, or something unusual?
Nothing, my friend. Absolutely nothing.
And
But
do you consciously invite her?
Definitely. Yep, definitely. But you know what? It is what it is, and most probably something will happen when I least expect it that I'll be able to call you up and say, "Hey, Craig, guess what?"
Please do.
I will, my
Well,
friend.
I can say one principle. I'm not
Well,
sure it applies to you.
Let's hold that
So
because I've got to take my final
Okay.
break. So please
After
stand by.
break.
Yeah. Exo Nation. My guest is Craig Webb, a good friend in Montreal, Quebec, my hometown. And Craig and I will be back on the other side of this break. For more information about Craig and the great work he does, his books and his music, visit craigwebb.ca. This is the X Zone. I'm Rob McConnell, and you're listening to us on the Hometown Radio, Classic 1220, streaming at classic1220.ca.
Sweet dreams are made of these. Who am I to disagree? I travel the world and the seven seas. Everybody's looking for something. Some of them want to use you. Some of them want to get used by you. Some of them want to abuse you. Some of them want to be I walk a lonely road, the only one that I have ever known. Don't know where it goes, but it's home to me, and I walk alone. I walk this empty street on the boulevard of broken dreams, where the city sleeps, and I'm the only one, and I walk alone. I walk alone, I walk alone. I walk alone.
Craig Webb is our guest, www.craigwebb.ca. Craig, what about shared dreams? What's your take on that, and how do they work?
Okay, well, we have this pretty widespread shared dream. We call it waking reality. So I'm not sure how that works, but we do seem to tune into the consensus dream we call life. In terms of waking up from the same dream, it's actually a lot more common than we might like to think, especially for partners who are pretty emotionally connected, or sometimes family members. And I usually see, like, almost, I'd say weekly, if not more than a few nights a week, dream mutual themes. So not necessarily the fully exact same dream, but some element there, like a certain character or a certain location or a certain plot. And people might be a little skeptic, but I say just start asking your wife, your husband, your partner, and see if there's any link to that, or family members. You'd be surprised. It's as common, but people don't talk about it so much. As for how does that work? Well, on some level, we agree on waking reality, so I don't see it's too different, but there must be some communication between us at deeper levels in the subconscious. Sometimes it gets very interesting. Like, I had two students who actually met quite by choice in lucid dreams while fully asleep, checked some verifiable info, including certain street names, the door number on the apartment, and specific stuff. It's pretty hard to just guess, in other words, small probabilities of things. And then they both verified privately with me. And there's been a few other studies of mutual dreaming that show, yeah, you can get pretty rare, provable facts. So something a little bit more than meets the eye is going on. And I think have fun, experiment. This is first-person subjective science. So just try it and see what happens, and see if there's anything of value to give to others too.
Is there a connection between dreaming, waking dreams, and psychic phenomena?
Yeah, I'm just a psychic sidekick, so everybody can take all my answers with a grain of salt. But psychic would be my way of saying it would be we're tuning in with non-physical senses, or what I like to call the inner senses. We're tuning on the inner net, which I'm allowed to make bad jokes like that because my family name is Webb, right? So we tune into the internet through our inner senses, and that's usually what we call psychic stuff. I mean, it has other names like telepathy, precognition, clairvoyance, and other things. But we can find out info that we didn't get physically, but then proves out true. Like, oh my gosh, I just thought of this person who I've never seen in like the last 20 years, and I met them that day at the coffee shop. Or, it's happened here. I have about 6 or 7 stories. They dreamt the lottery numbers and they won. Or other things that are a little less wild. Like I like a sort of mutual dreaming story with Bono, the singer from U2. In my book, I tell a few stories, but one of them he dreamt with Bob Dylan. It's a little lesser known. I tell another one with Roy Orbison, which is even more wild. But he dreamt with Bob Dylan, and the next day he'd never met him or sang with him, but he found a way to reach his agent and phoned him up and told him the dream and the song that they were working on in the dream, and they ended up sort of cooperating and creating the music. So was it exactly mutual, or did he just wish it? Hard to say, but something practical came from it, and they both seemed to resonate with sort of the song quite well.
Fascinating, truly fascinating. Craig, you've taught at major universities and at corporations. How does the audience respond to the concept of dream work?
Well, I have different languages that I'll use. I mean, it's generally English, but I do speak some other actual languages. But in corporate, I might not say, telepathic connection between you, please hold hands, because it's not going to fly. Or it'll just limit the situation. So you can say a little bit different, like, hey, connect with your gut feeling on something. Sometimes you can use the word intuition. But different languages ends up sort of being just talking about experiences everybody has. Mm-hmm. Dreams are universal. Some of these connections are universal. Trying to solve problems is universal. Sort of connections or insights for health. And then usually if it's, let's say, a little bit more scientific or corporate or official setting, just encourage people to connect about it privately later than in the group because they'll be embarrassed. But in setting like university, the kids are all like raising their hands. I have that too. I'm interested, or they know studies that I've never heard. So it depends a little bit on the age range and the audience. I can tell you one place that I've loved presenting, and I get lots of great feedback, and I learn stuff every time. It's sort of for hospital groups. And that the patients and the doctors, the caregivers, even at palliative care, are dreaming for the patients and hearing dreams about past life and death and everything all the time.
What's your dream journaling method or recommendation for tracking and remembering dreams, Craig?
Okay, great. So a few tips for listeners, some that I've been able to have success with and many others. Mm-hmm. First off, just realize that dreams can have super practical waking value, even if just, like Rob, maybe connecting with a deceased loved one or parent, maybe getting an insight for the program we're working on at work or for a school essay or how to sort of resolve this relationship conflict, sleep on it. And then we could start exploring more as an adventure. So lots of great benefits. To get the doorway open, I usually say realize that first, that there's lots of practical benefits. That's really the thing that'll keep it over time. And then maybe keep a little recorder while we're sleeping, a voice recorder or something. So we don't necessarily even have to open our eyes. We can kind of just speak it a little bit.
Right.
Or just wake up slowly and kind of remember before you open your eyes. Usually dreams start coming pretty soon as we are interested.
Craig, what about all the electronics that we have in our homes? Like, for example, keeping your cell phone beside the bed, where you've got the Wi-Fi going through your house. How do these new electronic gizmos affect the dreaming process?
I don't know if that's been researched too much. I can't speak too much on that. I do know one study that is a bit upsetting, but the strong radiation, so now I'm talking microwave cell towers, actually does really significantly, 4 to 5 times increase the likelihood of cancer and death within a short radius. So that's very unfortunate. But the softer radiations, Like, for example, Bluetooth is such short range, low energy. It's probably not going to do much Wi-Fi. It's kind of middle range, kind of like a house phone if you have a wireless phone. Not ideal right beside your head for hours, but maybe on the desk beside. But yeah, if you have the cell function, the actual cellular antenna, which is the microwave radiation, try to turn it off at night if you're keeping your phone handy. I imagine it's triggering a little bit like the cell towers. But as far as dreaming, I haven't really seen any effect, and I don't know of any research.
What is the latest research in dreamology?
Well, there's the next one you might like. This is kind of a feel-good story. I don't have too much in-depth, but sea otters, it's more about sleep, actually sleep holding hands so that they don't drift apart during the night.
That's interesting. That is interesting.
That I found like sort of fresh, because I think we've spoken about spiders dreaming.
Yeah.
We can actually track spiders having like dreams by watching their little eye movements, and they have certain cycles that really correspond with dreams. But the sea otters was sort of like heartwarming, so I like that one.
All right. When it comes to human dream research, what are you researchers working on?
Well, a recent study of interest is sort of dreaming of a divorce can actually really help with reducing depression. I think that's pretty obvious why. But it comes back to your question a little bit before. How can dreams help with sort of healing trauma? I think that maybe nightmares or something. And just think of anything that hasn't, it's been really severe, like maybe your time during COVID, or somebody else had a car accident, or, really tough scenarios. They went to war or something extremely traumatic. It's just way too tough to stay human, stay alive, and be present, and certainly present emotionally. So like a little tip, for example, if somebody's going through a car accident, you catch them right near the time, or like they're still in the car or something right after, it's really good just to get them to tell the story to increase the awareness. Otherwise, we'll see that they start having trauma dreams. In other words, the emotions and the memories and the shock is still coming through at deeper levels. And if we don't address it, if we don't kind of do some kind of therapy or look at the dreams or do art therapy or talk about it, or even just kind of like tell the dreams to somebody, then we start seeing it come out as health problems, relationship breakups, etc. Like war vets have a lot of that. So there's some kind of pressure release that you can kind of coach and help a lot with hypnosis and counseling. The dreams offer as kind of emotional healing service. Sometimes naturally, but they can be amplified and coached, and good counselors will use that.
So basically, dreaming is very important to our mental and physical health.
Yeah, absolutely. And our community and social health. Think about it. One of the biggest social phenomena, especially for the indigenous cultures, is to share something so intimate as your dream. I've heard one story, for example, somebody made out with their brother's wife in the dream. But in the indigenous community, that's like a serious offense. Maybe in our community it is also. But in that level, the person went in waking life to their actual physical brother and apologized and sort of had a connection and sort of a family bond and trust, and something was increased and renewed, and maybe some discussion happened that wouldn't have. So when we share dreams culturally, it can be a huge social gift too, not just physiology or emotional, but yes, on all levels.
Craig, as always, whenever you're with us, time goes by so fast. Once again, tell us where we can get your books, your music, your videos. Is that all at your website, and are they available on Amazon?
Yeah, thanks, Rob. Appreciate that little doorway. So if people enjoy what they heard here, check out craigwebb.ca. I offer training, executive coaching, lots of teleclasses and different things. Free material also. You can check online by my name. And then if you want a more in-depth study for creativity and how you can use the same principles as top artists of different genres, the Dreams Behind the Music book, or dreamsbehindthemusic.com, is a good way. And otherwise, I just say just start exploring your dreams on your own and become your own expert. I'm just sharing my passion here.
All right, Craig. Exo Nation, that was Craig Sim Webb, a dream researcher, author, and founder of craigwebb.ca. Now, if you're interested in deepening your connection to the dream world, I highly recommend exploring his website. His book, The Dreams Behind the Music, and his online courses, all available at craigwebb.ca. Craig, thank you so much for helping us awaken to the wisdom of our sleeping minds. And always remember, you're always welcomed here in the X Zone.
Thank you so much. I'm looking forward for an update on you connecting with your mom.
You'll be the first to know.
Absolutely. Great.
Good night, my
Take
good
care,
friend.
everybody.
Bye-bye, Craig. And that's it for tonight, Exo Nation. Wow, where do these 2 hours go? I want to thank our guests. I want to thank my studio producer, the one and only Craig West. And, of course, my senior producer and wife, Laura Rogers, for all your help over the years. And a special thanks to you, the members of the Exo Nation, 35 years plus. You keep us going. You are our success. You are our reason for doing this show, Monday through Friday from 10 p.m. until midnight. So until next time, always remember, keep your eyes to the sky and your heart to the light. Good night now.